What's up, everybody, man? Let's welcome my special guest, a wrestling legend from WCW, ECW, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and you're still currently wrestling as we speak, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, haven't quit.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, the interesting part about you, man, is you were trained by Gene Anderson, huh? What was it like to be trained by him?
Painful, it was big time, man. But it was the right kind of pain, man. That bring you that money, put in your pocket. But the thing about it was, he gave me the ins and outs of the business, how people were going to treat you, and how people uh, perceived you at times. It all depends. But he got me prepared very well for the business.
Okay, so it got you to be where you're at with that training, but then what led you to WCW, man? Because I looked at your career. You started off in WCW from '91, right?
Oh yeah. Well, what it was Gene was connected to all that. He was connected to the NWA first, and then they moved on to WCW because Ole Anderson developed World Championship Wrestling, and so I got connected with them with Joey Hamilton, and Joey Hamilton was the original Assassin One, and he was the one who gave me my name because he asked me. He said, "Man, what's your name?" I said, well, "I don't really know." He said, "Well, what's your name?" I said, "Well, I'm Jamal Mustafa." He said, "Okay, you'll be Mustafa Saed." And ever since then, I haven't looked back, man. And WCW was my first start.
Yeah, got you to be where you're at. But then eventually it led you to Smoky Mountain. What led you to become tag teams with New Jack? And then what kind of became this gangster kind of like crew, man? It was like something catchy that got you guys over.
Well, you gotta remember, shit. I had all kind of gimmicks, man. So I went back. I can go back and tell you, shoot. I used to put paint on my face. I used to be a savage guy, and then I had all kind of gimmicks. I had the green tights on. You seen in the match against Eric Watt there back in the day. I went through all kind of phases, and come to find out, I saw a lot of other guys that that's big time. They went through a lot of phases before they became big time. So I went to North Georgia wrestling, and Jack was already New Jack. He already developed. I was his character the whole time. It wasn't no fake thing about Jack. Jerome, my man, you know what I'm saying, and he brought it, and he told me, he said, "Hey, Mustafa, put on these fatigues, man. Let's go for it." He said, "You've been in the military, so you used to wearing this kind of stuff anyway." I said, "Yeah, man." I said, "Let's do it." And we started off as just New Jack and Mustafa. And next thing you know, we got with Jim Cornette. And that's how we got really going.
Yeah, Jim Cornette just thought it was brilliant how you guys were like the best heels, man. Like it was a perfect place to be the most hated, man. Whatever you guys did, it just really pissed them off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We enjoyed every bit of it. We wasn't having any hangups because Cornette told us, he said, "Man, you're going to be going to some towns, man. It's basically all white towns. And you guys are going to come in." And also, what was good about it was D'Lo Brown. He was the one that first started with us too, and at that one time, he didn't have anything going for himself either. We all trying to get on, you know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, D'Lo ain't looked back either. D'Lo Brown did his thing too, WWE. But we got with Jim and Cornette, and that was the greatest crew to ever work with. Bullet Bob Armstrong, the Armstrongs. Um, uh, Tracy Smothers, the Rock and Roll Express. That was a great crew up there, man. It kept us going.
Oh yeah, I've interviewed a couple of dudes who were at the Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They told me you guys were just really got over those crowds like insane, man. Like just the way you guys were behind the scenes, man. They were telling you guys to be careful.
Oh yeah. Well, Tracy Smothers was our lawyer, man, because there was a lot of places we went to, and of course, they got some clan everywhere, and they come to the shows, and the police sometimes they wanted to arrest us, and a lot of times it was like, okay, shoot, we coming to this town, and then Tracy would go and tell them, "Come on, man, we trying to make some money here. Don't mess with these guys. Come on now."
Yeah, you guys were definitely making some money, but it really got to the point where they actually wanted you guys to leave the territory at some point, right?
Well, when it's time to go, it's time to go because ECW gave us a call, but I didn't know the ins and outs of what was really going on with Paul Lee and Jim Cornette because they was kind of talking on the phones and um, didn't know what was going on. But matter of fact, I'm be honest with you, we partied our ass off. You know what I'm saying? So it was like Jack said, we're going to ECW. And I said, well, you heard of ECW? He said, not really. He said, but Paul Lee's up there. And they said, it's got it going on up there, man. Let's go see what's going on up there because it's not the same in the 90s. You got to remember, it wasn't all this social media like it is. It's a different kind of, it was a different kind of deal back then.
Yeah, you guys wrestled in some hardcore environment style, like the way how you and New Jack were just like in that kind of environment. You guys faced a lot of good tag teams.
Great tag teams, man. The Dudleys, Eliminators, the Public Enemy. Shoot, it was all kind of great tag teams we went against, man. I know some more pop up in my head eventually down the road, but I do know that man, going to ECW was a life changing thing too because my people were up in Philadelphia. I had a lot of people up in Philadelphia at one time, and I remember when I was younger, I told them I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and at that time I was just a basketball player. So they said, "Man, you too damn skinny to try to be pro wrestling." And I ended up wrestling in Philadelphia, and I knew I had to bring it when I got to Philly, no doubt.
Yeah, you definitely had to bring it because you and New Jack were just like some new guys on the block, and you guys were building on from coming off of Smoky Mountain Wrestling and going to ECW. It had to be one of those, a different environment going from Tennessee all the way to what is it, Philadelphia or something?
It was in Philadelphia. Philadelphia.
Yeah,
We did all up north. You know what I'm saying? New York, Massachusetts, all the different places.
yeah, it was a lot different, but like going from different territories, it had to be a lot challenging. But you made your money, and you and New Jack just had to become
Oh yeah,
that top. Yeah, but
definitely.
in ECW,
You
you
know what
guys had
the
some
real
really
deal
good
was?
matches with the Dudley Boys,
Go
of
ahead,
course,
CJ.
and some other guys.
Go ahead.
Like in your matches on ECW, you had some good matches, but on Smoky Mountain Wrestling, you had your matches with the Rock and Roll Express, where you guys had that scene where you guys made it look like the Rodney King kind of like play, where the fans were really pissed off.
Well, that was the part that man, it was big time, And what was so good about it was Ricky Morton, man, he okayed it, and Robert did too. The Rock and Roll, they okayed it because they knew that it'd be a big draw. And man, when we jumped on Ricky, man, it was heat, man. I'm telling you,
It
we
was a
went
lot of
through
heat,
it.
man, especially how you guys beat them up. It was like the police force doing that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It was just the opposite. But the thing about it was to get everybody over, get everybody over. It wasn't just us. It was the rock and roll. It was the referees, the people who was there. Make them remember something that they would never forget.
Yeah, it was something you guys made like a strong, like the way you guys made it in, like it's something that everybody still talks to this day, like the way how it was talked, and then even how you and New Jack had this promos and all the other stuff, and it's like you guys were just so way past your time, where like where it wasn't like it just wasn't quite something like like how you think of the NWA and the other rap groups and all that.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how it was like ahead of its time.
oh yeah. Well, the thing about it is you got to remember too that this they wouldn't even put this on TV now, so it was at the right time in the '90s at that particular time because Smoky Mountain had a lot of stipulations on. You see the warnings under the bottom of some of the matches where they would say this is not part of this Smoky Mountain, and because like you said, it was a way ahead of our time. And then on top of it, up at ECW too, there was so many things, power bombing girls through tables and with G strings on and all kind of stuff like that, that wouldn't go over too well right now the way it
Yeah,
is.
It was, and then especially going towards those territories, man. Like going all the way from ECW, you had to be more into that kind of style that you guys were adapt to at this point. How long did it take you guys to adapt to the hardcore style once you guys went to ECW?
Well, we were hardcore before we even got there. We was doing that kind of matches. That's what we prefer to do because the wrestling, the technical wrestler. You know how many technical wrestlers that came through the ranks, man, for years. From me as a watching it when I was a little kid, all the way up. And I said, I know that's not my style. Okay, so I learned most of my style. I got a chance to work Stan Hansen, and Stan Hansen gave us man. He'll take you through it, and he very stiff, which I thought that was normal because I'm still trying to smarten up to the business, and he told me this is how it works, and he told me, he says the finish is the lariat, it's a clothesline that he gives, and he'll knock you in the next week with it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why we went over. He said that's the finish. And so we
Yeah.
got in the ring, man, and everything was in the ring, called in the ring, outside the ring, got thrown out the ring. It went all over the place, man. And ever since then, I said, that's me right there. That's the kind of work I want to do like that. And Jack was down with it too, so that's where we got that style from. We started in it was called North Georgia Wrestling. We started there doing buck wild wrestling like that.
Oh, so it started off in Georgia where you guys were accustomed to that style of wrestling.
Right, right. And then when we got to ECW and come to find out, we thought we dropped in heaven, man. When they said, "Oh man, this is how it's gonna be," I said, "Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it."
I mean, you've done it for so many years, and you're still doing it to this day. So this is still the type of wrestling you still do, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing about it is, being 61, it's always being copied, but it's not quite the way we did it. It's not just us, but the ECW. ECW had their own style, man, that people just will never forget. They want that to come back so bad, but I told them, I said, I don't think they ever have that again. ECW.
Yeah, it was like there was a lot of those hardcore style wrestlings. Like once ECW came into the play, you had the Puerto Rico, you had like the ones in Japan that was a little bit differently then.
Yeah, well, I was down in WWC, and you could do the same thing down there, but it still wasn't quite the same. But it was still good. It was still good. WWC, you had the punch, keep. That's what all they wanted to see. They didn't want to see if you did grab a hold, it had to be real rough and tough and tumble, and you had to whoop some ass, man, down there, back and forth, kicking and punching. That's what they wanted to see. The blood, basically.
Blood and guts in that type of wrestling. So at least when you were working with Jim Cornette, you guys got to be yourself. But then once going from Paul Heyman and then working for Carlos Colon, it had to be a little different from those environments, huh?
Well, true wrestlers know how to adjust, to where they at, and I always had fun. I was gonna make sure I was gonna have fun. The first time when I got in this business, I always said, no matter what I'm going through, who like me, who don't like me, I'm gonna kick it and have some fun. And I partied, man. A lot of times I used to drink 12 or a case of beer before a lot of those matches down in Puerto Rico, and you sweat it out by the time you get to the match anyway. She was so hot in Puerto Rico, and man, we had some good times down there. I had some good times down there too.
It had to be pretty strange to go down Puerto Rico and go down somewhere where a certain wrestler passed away, man. It had to be something that some people said that it was something they had to go through the locker rooms one time.
Well, there's some stuff on YouTube, man, that I really don't dig. They trying to say that they got something written on top. The topic was he deserved what he got. No, he didn't. Because I'm gonna tell you, Bruiser Brody was one of my favorite wrestlers, and I'm gonna tell you why he was one of my favorite. He came to Mid Atlantic back in the day in North Carolina, and I grew up in North Carolina, so it was the Ole and Gene Anderson brothers, Wahoo McDaniels, Paul Jones, Ric Flair, Blackjack Mulligan. Bruiser Brody came through a couple of times and wrestled. We had Greg Valentine, Johnny Valentine. These are some of my favorites. So all I was saying was, if you go into a territory like a place like Puerto Rico, you have to watch your back, and because you got to remember, Macho Camacho, the boxer, he got shot in the face down there too, but in the wrong hood, and he got it. And the thing about it was, Bruiser was one of my favorite wrestlers, man. I love that style, that wild style, and that's why I picked up on him. And so he did not deserve to get what he got.
Of course.
Right.
I mean, nobody deserved to die during that circumstances. It's
Right.
like he was old money, so he was like at the time, he just he was working in Puerto Rico territories, and of course he was asked for his money. He wanted to get paid, and I guess the promoter, like Carlos Colon or wherever who was running it, didn't really give him the money. That's what I've heard. But he was such a brawler, ahead of its time. Like, you had him and Stan Hansen. Those guys were pretty much the similar kind of wrestlers, big individuals, very stiff,
right,
very intimidating wrestlers too at the same time.
Well, it depends. See, I had my background was I had Greco-Roman wrestling and military boxing, powerlifting, and stuff like that. So when I got hit upside my head, I thought that was what was supposed to happen. And then the guys would tell you, "Damn, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And so that's what I thought, And the guy said, "Oh, they got work punches too." So Gene started to smart me up a lot more too as we was going along, how to throw work punches. So the guys you're going against, if you want to work, especially if you want to work them again and make some money out together, you can't be pummeling knocking the hell out of your damn opponent unless they stiff, and a lot of them didn't. So you had to learn both ways.
Oh yeah, you do. You had to learn different ways, like the way you said throwing the punches and all the other stuff. It had to be different kind of style of wrestling, different kind of different kind of moves and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, chop. You can chop somebody, and you can chop it where it just sounds off, and then you can chop where you're knocking the shit out of somebody. So
yeah, for sure.
Right.
I mean, from all your matches, you had your best work with as far as your best overall match. What was your best match? I'm pretty sure as a singles competitor, you had some good work as a singles.
You know what? I hate to even put one of whoever was the favorite. What it was we all drew a lot of money. When I wrestled a lot of guys, so I can't really say what was my favorite, because I made the matches work. And of course, when you first start off, you're green and you don't know what's really going on. And I remember Steven Regal got a hold of me back in the dressing room, WCW. He asked me, "Do you really know what you're doing?" And I said, "Nah, I'm green, Steve." He said, "Okay." And he took his time out to help me out. Stone Cold, Tuco Scorpio, Ron Simmons, those guys would, it wasn't going after to show you in the ring or none of that kind of stuff. What they do is just talk to you, a few minutes, and that was man, that was great for me.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, those were good guys to work with too. I mean, Stone Cold was definitely a good worker, but I think he started off with a different name, like Stunning Steve or something.
Austin. He was Stunning Steve Austin.
Yeah. In WCW, he went under that with a blonde hair.
Right.
I mean, Tuco Scorpio was another good legit wrestler.
Oh yeah, Tuco was the real deal. Tuco was real deal. Wrestling Ron Simmons with Doom, with Butch Reed and all that, man. One time they threw me off the ropes, man, and they gave me a tackle and knocked me in the next week, man. I was looking up at the lights trying to figure out where am I right now. But I loved it, man. I loved it, because what they would do was they would go in the dressing room, the producers. It would be Bill Dundee. It could be Bill Dundee. It could be Grizzly Smith, one of them guys. And, they would talk to you and they say, "Well, how you feel, kid?" And I said, "I'm good." They would leave. And I'm like, "Damn, what happened?" "Oh, them guys want to work you again." And then a lot of them start taking care of you, the next time around, because you didn't complain.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely kind of brought more of a, a lot of these other individuals were different workers when you think about it that way. I mean, it had to be fun just to work with different kinds and actually adjust to how they did their own style. But as far as like a tag team wrestler, like what was it like just behind the scenes with Jack and those other guys, man, that you work with? What was like something about New Jack? Everybody kept saying that dude was something else.
Well, Jack was a real deal because Jack had went to prison 3 years, and he came out. He was a bounty hunter, and then we did a few things in the streets before we even hit wrestle. We knew each other before we actually found out that we both wrestled. That's kind of funny, ain't it? That we knew each other. He said, "Yeah, man, I wrestle." I said, "You? Yeah, I wrestle too." So we went down to a spot and worked out. But the part was we was in the streets together first. So when we got in the dressing room, we had a match, and we were they put us against I couldn't even remember at the time. We was down in the Georgia Center down in Georgia, and Cornette was talking to us. He said, "What your name? What kind of names you want to do?" So before that even happened, me and Jack, we was drunk anyway because we drank all the time. We drank up in the 40s and everything, and smoking and going. I was smoking and going on and everything. So we didn't expect nothing at the time. So we just partying, man. I always party, but I also took care of the people too. Everybody I worked, I took care of. But we sitting in the dressing room. And then Cornette said, "Why don't we call you the Gangsters?" I said, "The Gangsters? Well, you need to change the ER on it and put the ATS on there, or TZ. It depends on how they want how we want to spell it. But they wanted the TS. They said that's better. That's getting too ghetto when you put the Z on there." So I told him, I said, "We'll be the," he said, "We'll call you the Gangsters." And everybody cracked up laughing. And we had been doing some stuff before that. But like I said, New Jack, man, was a crazy dude, man. He was fun to be around, man. I enjoyed him, and I miss him. I still miss him. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it
Because
was.
of the laughs that we used to do, man. We just had a good time, man. And Jerome Young was different than the New Jack. The New Jack, was one guy, and then Jerome, man, that was a good dude too. You know what I'm saying? So there was a couple of different personalities there.
Yeah, New Jack was something else at the time. I think I've only had a couple conversations with him, and he was like selling one of the books, and he wanted me to go check out the book a while back, which I didn't get a chance to. But there was a time and place where I could have got him for an interview, but this was like weeks before he passed away, which was unfortunate. But
Right, right,
but he had a lot of good stories. He was going to tell me a lot of them behind the scenes, man. Like something that I would like. He would just, because you guys go on Hannibal TV and quite a few other guys, but New Jack had a lot to bring to the table. So it's like he kind of changed the style of wrestling. Like if you think of ECW, you always think of New Jack and some other guys. Like
right.
RVD was his own guy too. So
Oh yeah, RVD, good dude, good dude. Sabu,
Sabu, bro,
Sandman.
Sabu. Tommy Dreamer was
Sandman
like the
brought
heart
something
and soul.
different.
He had his own. Like he was like the kind of guy also.
Yeah, yeah. The thing about it was me and Jack, we was real brothers, so he get mad at me. And there's a lot of sometimes you can find some podcasts where he was really mad at me. So, but I had it coming sometime because I'm not no saint either. You know what I'm saying? So, there were times I did some things that pissed him off, and he get mad at me. But this was the funny part. 2 or 3 days later, he'll call me and say, "Hey man, we got something going on. You ready to? You ready?" I said, "I'm ready." So I fly there and meet him. And, he said, I get mad, man, when I'm doing it. I said, "Jack, you ain't got to explain yourself, man. I understand, bro." Like I said, it was like we're real brothers. We shake it off, man, and keep going.
Yeah, you guys had your moments, but you guys stick together through this process, and you've been the tag teams for many years, even going all the way from TNA. Like
Oh
even
yeah.
like what I mean, I know you guys had your run at TNA also. So what was it like just working with TNA?
Well, it was definitely different than ECW. The thing what probably got me the most was the parties was over, man. The parties in the back of the dressing room, man. We had our beers, we had whatever you needed back there. That part was over with. So TNA was cool and everything, no doubt. But I know my run was going to be kind of short lived there because it's just how it is.
Yeah. So I know you were kind of like a party person with you and New Jack, but I guess from when I was looking at New Jack's Dark Side of the Ring, he mentioned something about you put like snorking or like smoking on pencils or something, man.
Yeah, we had pencil shavings. It was pencil shavings right there. I don't know. I still don't realize how they got there. I ain't gonna lie. That part is still a little. I was faded, so I don't remember that part. But I remember putting them in my blunt. Rolled it up, and everybody was looking, and because this was mine. This was mine. I wasn't sharing with nobody. You know what I'm saying? So I smoked it, and they looking like, those pencil shavings in there. And I think Jack said something too, but I can't remember. And so I said, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I went in the room. We would party, man, and have a good time, and we were laughing. Everything was there. Girls, everybody was back and forth. So we had a good time, man.
Yeah, it had to be that. It had to be at a different time when how you guys were getting caught up with that stuff. I think Tommy Rich was telling me something like that in one of those interviews where he said that when it was like parties in certain territories, he said the weirdest party you've ever seen was you like smoking pencils.
Yeah, well, the thing about it was, I had my weed with me. You know what I'm saying? I always had and I always had. I thought I had the best
Yeah.
because the RVD and those guys, they're experts. They're pretty good experts. But every time they got a hold of me, I hear that coughing going on a lot when they was with me. So where you get this from? I said, it's none of your business. This is mine and all mine. So you can have some of it, but that's about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you compare how you look at RVD, man, he kind of like he was like the Claude Van Damme of pro wrestling, man. The guy just had different style of wrestling.
Well, we used to work together down in WCW, and one of our matches. This is how me and RVD got real close. Was we had a match, and we was in somewhere Georgia, somewhere in Georgia. Okay, he had me in a headlock, and what we was gonna do was the basic headlock, take a tackle, reverse hip toss. So right before we was about to go into the ropes, the lights go black in the whole place. Power goes out. Had Nick Patrick was in the ring with us, and so he still got me in the headlock, and we're down and on one knee, and I'm down on one knee, and we just sitting there working. And Patrick said, "You guys doing pretty good, but y'all need any help with your match?" I said, "Hell yeah," because both of us was green and shit. So Patrick was talking about some of the match in the ring with us to help us out, and then all of a sudden the lights came back on. And then ever since then, me and RVD had that. Hey, you remember that time? And then that's how we were real close after that.
Yeah, it had to be like I mean, it had to be one of those kind of matches that you had with RVD.
Oh yeah, it was a great match. Yeah, I thought it was good. Because we was I was fascinated growing up with the first match. Okay, when they would come out to the ring, this is Mid Atlantic, and we would go over to Charlotte or Shelby, North Carolina. Depends on where the match was at. And I was always fascinated with that first match when they come out there because I went with my grandfather to a match, and the heel came out, and we were booing the heel, but seemed like that heel turned around and looked straight at me, man, and said, "Shut your hole," like that. And I ran behind my grandfather, and she just, man, from balls all the way down, from foot all the way up to head, just frightened me to death. And I was hooked after that. And so I was always fascinated. Next thing you know, when I got to WCW, we do house shots. I'm the first match.
Yeah,
And that's funny how that works, huh?
Had to be that insane of a match right there. I mean, especially with all that, man, like. But when you look at all the matches that you had, like, I would say the match you had with the Dudley Boys, they had a lot of intense matches right there.
Well, we helped the Dudleys, man, push them along. In my case, I pushed them along to do better. They were behind us. They were younger, You know, and everything is the same thing like with D'Lo. I talked to D'Lo and pushed him along, and D'Lo, man, look how he turned out. So the Dudleys was those matches where we just had that chemistry, man. And they were great matches, man. You know, and it wasn't like it wasn't no great chemistry, which eliminated all that group up there that we worked up there. It was just chemistry. It was great.
Yeah, there were great matches with that tag team, which they're like the best tag team at that time. You know, like there still are. Like they got the most tag team titles, but you guys were like the most intimidated tag teams when it comes down to it. Like they didn't want to mess with you.
Well, the thing about it was, you know, you had to take care of yourself out there, man. You know, because you didn't know. It's such a cutthroat business, and you don't know who is who, and sometimes you don't know. Sometimes somebody would try to shoot on you. Well, if I had somebody like try to shoot on me, I get him in the ring. Jack was different. He'll get him anywhere he could get his hands on you, and it was pretty bad once he because it didn't matter where he was at. He was ready to fight you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you guys had some good out of those matches, but when you look at I mean, you guys had those matches with Public Enemy also, which I've seen on one of your ECW matches.
Oh
Like
yeah.
those were pretty good matches.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was to me. Uh, we had so much fun, man, because they had their song, "The Informer." Okay, so we came out with Cube and Dre. You know what I'm saying? And that was clashing right there in a good way though. You know where draw money. So man, we came out there. Our first time we went out there and we were supposed to jump the Public Enemy. We jumped them. Police came in. I don't know, man. They're some of the biggest police I ever seen that Philly had. And boy, when they put them handcuffs on us and threw us down, man, on the mat, it was like I was really getting arrested, you know. So when we got back in the dressing room, man, you couldn't tell those guys it was a work. They was shooting on. It was almost a shoot on us, man. So it was fun though. It was very fun.
Yeah, it was some good style of matches. Like when I keep watching these other classic matches all the time, dude, I always see you in the Public Enemy, and then you got the Dudley Boys, and then I don't know if you ever guys wrestled the Nasty Boys, right? Have you guys even wrestled them or no?
No, we never wrestled a Nasty Boy. See, that's one of those stories with Jack
What could
and
have been?
was it what's his name?
Oh, Brian Knobs and
Brian Knobs. I don't know how they even met. You know, I have all the thing I heard was Jack knocked him out, and I said, well, that's New Jack. But the thing about it is, I don't know nothing about it. Anything how it happened, when it happened, where they were at. I just heard it.
they had a reputation. They were like out of territories at times when they were pushing it too far. But when like Brian Knobs was probably the most talkative guy that was trash talking. I think Jerry Saggs was more the opposite
Right.
from my understanding. Because when I look at these other interviews between it, like Brian Knobs is more of a talker. Like he'll just talk his ass, and then you have Jerry Saggs who'll just tell you like it is, but he isn't quite that big of a talker like that.
Well, yeah, you know, they had got a hold of Ken Shamrock one night, man, and it was all bad. You know what I'm saying? So they not no soft. They not soft. You know, I can tell you that. So, but the thing about it, what clashed with them was like they said, "Man, did you hear this interview about Brian Knob?" And I told him, I said, "Well, he might as well get in line. I done heard that name plenty of times before, you know. So
Yeah,
no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? You know, some people, how would I say it? It bothered a lot of people. But see, when you grew up with NWA, niggas with attitude, you know, that's what I was really got behind. You know what I'm saying? So that was I was used to it. So when they would say anything like now, would I? Yeah, of course I would defend myself if I had to, and it's a lot of times it'd be all bad for a lot of people. But the thing about it was Never, no, don't nobody never really tried to put their hands on us like that. Going through the ring, going to the ring and back and forth. So we didn't have a problem.
Nah, I don't think so. But hey, what could have been, man? Maybe you guys would have had something good with the Nasty Boys, man. It could have been something.
Well, that's the thing about it is that's what's so cool about pro wrestling is there's a lot of people wish they could work somebody, or a lot of people would like to see go against each other. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But it's that's what makes it cool about pro wrestling.
Yeah, sure does. But I mean, at least you had a lot of. At least you worked. I mean, you had a pretty long career. And you're still living it. So it's like for a guy like your age, most of them would have just retired or just step away from the ring. But what makes you still continue wrestling, man, even at this age?
Well, I got the fire, man. 61, and I still got the fire in me. Gene told me back in the day, I said, Gene, I know they have a cutoff time in wrestling. He said, hey, if you draw money, kid, if you 70 some years old and you still drawing money, go keep going. You keep going to the casket drop. And so the Gene was something else, man. And he told me, he said, as long as you stay in shape, he would point out certain wrestlers to me. He said that could last a long time and some that couldn't, because being on the gas and all that kind of stuff like that. He says I advise you not to. He advised me, saying not to really get on that stuff. He said you're pretty big. You'll figure a way to keep yourself in good shape. You know what I'm saying? He said, do these workouts that we do every day, because he had me doing 500 to 1,000 squats. The first time I tried out for NWA, I didn't make it, and I went back to the Air Force, came back and tried out again 6 months later, and man, I couldn't even get out the car after we made it that time. But we did 600,000 squats. They had a lot of jobbers. See, another thing people don't understand about a lot of jobbers can kick a lot of people's asses. It's one thing to be on TV and it's a work, but the real shooters out there are the guys that did the job sometimes. And a lot of people didn't know that, and them guys will hurt you, man. So that I usually kick it with them, learning stuff how to survive out there. And it's a funny thing where Gene prepared me and said, "Hey, brother, if you do these exercises, all these exercises that we showing you, these exercises keep you fit. And if you stop, then it's going to be a problem. If you keep going, you can keep working and learn how to work. Learn how to work, not just
Yeah,
hot
just keep going
spots
with
and
the flow.
things like that. Learn how to work the business. Learn how to work in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So."
Yeah, I guess you just like you said, Gene kept going until the day was over for him. I mean, I guess it goes with it for some wrestlers. They just keep competing until they die in the ring or something.
Well, the thing about it is we can flop anywhere, so why not be in the ring? If that did happen, if that did happen at that time. But my thing is that I enjoy it, and if my body can't keep going as far as just getting in the ring and keep going like that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a manager for somebody. So what I try to do is pump these young guys up and get them out of there. And I talk to a lot of guys mentally about the business, and they do very well for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But so you compete in the Sacramento territory, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I do the sack, and I would go to other territories, but man, I got other business deals that I'm doing that I have no time to really go down and just hit the road like I used to. And plus, one of my best buddies, man, that I used to, I would go on the road with him, and because his name was Virgil, but Virgil died, and one of the real good friends of mine, and he was a youngster that kept me motivated, and really did. Hey, let's go here, let's go there, and we would go. And when he died, man, it kind of took me down a little bit. But the thing about it is, I still wrestle in SBW.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like we're very remarkable to just go at this level and still having that drive to still compete, man. Like I mean, like you even said, eventually you'll probably want to be a manager at some point, but you still got it. So it's like I see some of your matches. You seem like you haven't lost your step like from your prime days. And when you were wrestling in your prime days, you had a lot of that explosive. But even at your age, you could still do it.
Well, the one thing that I say is you lose well, you're gonna lose something as you keep going along, but you gain something too. You start getting a little start getting a little more smarter with everything, and then what saved my career too was uh, 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 man, I do the old hardcore burpees and kettlebells. I started really messing with them kettlebells about 5 or 6 years ago, and man, they have changed my life around, man. So it keeps me going.
Yeah, changes people's life and perspective. Like, like there's people who can just retire from pro wrestling and they don't have nothing better to do, and then they probably make some wise decisions. But like you said, something sticking with it is pretty much what kept you still here to this day.
Well, you got to remember too, is a lot of guys didn't save their money. Yeah, and then some did. I blew a lot of my money too, and then I saved a lot of my money. At the same time, uh, you got to remember one thing about this wrestling business. Nobody's bigger than the business, and so I'm one of those few that accept that. I accepted that a long time ago. So I said, well, what I'm gonna do is, as I go along, I'm gonna keep helping these young people. So that's why I'm still able to work in certain places, because of the fact is I threw the rope back, I threw the ladder back over the wall to help kids uh, get through.
Yeah. It's like when I look back at your career, man. It's like you never had like I don't know if you've ever gone into the WWF, but was it ever a thought that you guys wanted to go there at some point or no?
Well, you got to remember that there's always those politics that involved a lot of people, because you got to know they come and go up there because they're the only thing going on now. At the time, you didn't need WWE. I went to WWF. I did jobs up there too. I did Jake Snake Roberts, Kurt Hennig, uh, different guys that I worked before up there. And one of my favorite stories was with Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson told me, and I know he got flack for a lot of stuff, but Pat Patterson was straight with me. He was cool with me. So the Pat said, "Hey man, we're going against Jake. By the way, can he throw the snake on you uh, at the end of the match? You get extra for that." I said, "Hell yeah, you can throw that snake on me at the end." So he calls the spot where I go in for the backdrop, and Jake cuts me off right there. Boom, DDT. And Jake gave me a lot of stuff in the match too. So that's one thing about Jake. He was cool. Thought he was cool. And so he gave me that DDT. Next thing he pulled that snake out, man, and he put the snake right on top of him, man. That's that was a big snake too. And he just crawl all on you and stuff like that. So I got back in after the match. I got back in the dressing room, and Pat said, "Man, come here, man." He said, "What's going on?" He said, "Dude, you I don't know who else, but I think you the first black guy is that they let him put the snake on him like that." I said, "Cool, now pay me. Let's do it. Let's get this
Well, it
money,
has to
man.
be
Let's
like a
go."
compliment for them to even put it that way. I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah, man. It was great, man. Cause I thought, the thing about it was Gene smartened you up to everybody. Okay, he says you don't worry about that. It's all business. Handle your business. Okay, you're gonna meet certain guys. They do this and they do that. Okay, that's none of your concern. Your concern is business in that ring, and get that money. Okay, so that's how I treated it. And I know some people say Pat Patterson. Well, Pat Patterson. I said, well, that y'all need to do an interview somewhere else with that, because with me and him, we were straight, and he was straight with me about helping me. He really helped me in the
yeah,
business.
it could have been something good for you guys to be in the Attitude Era. It could have been something, but I think a lot of what Vince McMahon and those other promoters, they were afraid of New Jack because they feel like he's a liability or something.
Well, that, and you also got to remember too is always big corporations steal ideas from smaller businesses. Okay, this is how the way it is, and it's never going to stop. You know, it's the beginning of time since they've been doing that. So what they did was they did Generation X. They didn't want us to do the X. The WWE definitely wouldn't have us do the X up there. So Generation X with Triple H and all them. You see what I'm saying? So we was actually the ones that brought out the X because they didn't know anything about no X. You know what I'm saying? So like that, and I feel good about it. You know, the original having that stuff come out there because we had the flag and it had the X on there, and a lot of people never understood the X was because of back in the old slavery days, people couldn't read and write it, and a lot of people couldn't read and write at the time, and so what they did was on the signature it was an X. They put an X on there to get some money or something. You know, if they could get some money, and that was their signature X. So we came up with the X. Uh, uh, don't know who actually did it. Rick came up with it, but at one time I was in the Nation of Islam, so I understood the whole situation, and we just ran with it, man. We ran with it, had fun with it. Shoot.
Yeah, you guys had fun with what you guys done from that time. I mean, it was such a big deal, even from outside the big companies. Everybody kept talking about how you and New Jack were like something that I think some wrestlers were trying to copy a little bit down the road.
Well, really, it came from New Jack. The credit goes to New Jack, man, Jerome Young, because he watched a movie called New Jack City, and he got the idea from there. He got the idea from there, and then he took it and ran with it. And he was already New Jack. See, I was still searching the style of wrestling, uh, all kind of things in it. I was making money, but I just didn't have anything going on to my satisfaction. And then when it came to Jack, Jack said, "Hey man, let's tag." And I said, "Let's tag." Maybe he said it, let's tag, but I think I said it. Let's tag, and then he said, "Hey, let's go with this. Let's go with this style right here." And then the name, the Gangsters, came later in Smoky Mountain with Jim Cornette.
Oh yeah, a lot of that, But yeah, we've been going on pretty good, man.
Oh
On
yeah,
these,
oh yeah,
what?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's been almost an hour, bro. I know I was like hoping at least to get some questions from these fans, but I didn't see much, bro. But I know you probably like have a lot of good stories, bro. Like as far as like your matches, like pretty sure you got some of those good like finishing matches, right?
Oh yeah. It was a lot of our matches that we had, especially in ECW at that time, was probably some of the best matches I thought we had because of the fact is the way the crowd responded, and also there were times what was beautiful about ECW was the different styles. So you had Eddie Guerrero, you had Chris Benoit, you had these different guys that was there at the time. Rey Mysterio Jr., Dean Malenko. It was different style of match. So we have the street style, then we have in the ring, and then you have the ladder matches, the tables, chairs, everything. So it all bounced back and forth, and ECW is definitely one of a kind.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like you get those different kind of styles, especially the cruiserweights, especially the
Right.
ones who are like those risk takers, like Jeff Hardy does. I mean, RVD was one of them risk takers too when it comes for that kind of style.
Oh yeah, he was crazy.
Yeah.
He jumped from the top rope, and then you have barricades over there. He jumped over those barricades. Him and Sabu, they jump over those barricades, man, and it wasn't nothing nice. I used to see them, man. They was in pain a lot of times, but they would be ready to go the next night to do the same thing.
Yeah, it has to come with certain skills the way he kind of does it because it's not easy for certain people to say, "Oh, that would be." No, it's not, dude. You have to like have a certain way to do it, or else you're gonna get hurt.
Well, you're right. It's a mindset. Okay, first of all, and then you have to be a crazy. You have to be loony. You have to be crazy. Part crazy to be a wrestler in the first place, because you throwing your body around, and a lot of people don't realize that's why a lot of injuries. A lot of guys have a lot of injuries. So they think sometimes they say, well, it's fake. I said, well, I used to tell them I'm not, and the money not fake. How about that?
Oh, yeah. How about
Right.
that? But as far as all that, man, I think we definitely covered everything, dude. But we'll definitely need to catch up sometime, bro. I know you got a lot of training to do, bro. It's been a lot of fun. Maybe down the road we can catch up.
Appreciate you for having me, man.
What?
I appreciate you for having me.
Oh, yeah, anytime, bro. And for those people who want to look for your social media platform, man, tell them where they can find you.
Well, just tell them, just look up, come to SPW on the matches, man, and come check me out. We got a big anniversary coming up, April the 27th. SPW will be in Elk Grove Boulevard to be at the Soccer World. So tell them to come on out, man, and have a good time. Also, I told them I'm not one of those kind of guys. I'm not the big numbers guys like some other guys would be. But the thing about it is I'm the real deal, though. And that's all that counts with me. So.
Well, for this younger me, man, I got to say I thank you for those times I got to watch those matches. I mean, there was a time where my mother would say, "Why are you watching this? This is not even the type of wrestling you should be watching." I'm like, I don't care. It looks kind of intense or something interesting. Me and my cousin would try to do some stuff like that.
Right.
It's because you guys did something like that. It was a different kind of wrestling compared to the Attitude Era, but when you watched ECW and saw how that kind of style of wrestling, man, my mom said, "Don't even watch that wrestling."
Yeah, we used to take out the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era is the most popular as far as, but underground. You know what I'm talking about?
Underground, yeah, underground.
Underground like wrestling. ECW was the shit. It was the greatest.
ECW was like a different kind of promotion. Like it was more like it was kind of a little bit of an outlaw wrestling thing, but bigger, a little bigger platform.
Right.
But if it was like if Paul Heyman had more of a success, if he was more successful in maintaining it for a long time, then it would have been different. But I think Vince McMahon had to buy it out from what happened because of the financials. Because I guess Paul couldn't afford to pay all the talents, from my understanding.
Well, you also got to remember we all have habits. So the habits make you or break you. So you always got to remember that. And the thing about it is, in this case, he has some habits that what it was. Let me put it this way: you know how you start something, but you didn't think it was going to be that big. And I'm thinking Paul Heyman. There is no way he thought the ECW was going to come out the way it did.
I don't think he ever thought of it, but I think he eventually kind of went as long as he could, because it started from '93 all the way till, I guess, 2000 or something.
Yeah, he made a good run. You know what I'm saying? It's something like I said, all good things come to an end. Eventually, even the Attitude Era, they can't even get it back no more. They can't even get back to that anymore. Yeah. You know. So, what do you think about today's wrestling right now?
Oh, what I think of the wrestling today, it's just not the same as exactly what you saw from the early years. I mean, early years they allowed that kind of style of wrestling, but now it's more of a PG where you can't even say certain stuff.
Right.
But now they're kind of changing a little bit on WWE a little bit. They're adding a little bit of that type of attitude words, but not that violent style of wrestling that you see today. It's not like the way the last time you probably seen something violent was when Eddie Guerrero had that super blood on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with JBL, that was probably the only last time you probably seen something like that.
Yeah, that was a good one. The problem is not the promotion. See, they're such a big marketing monster that they don't have to pay attention to the booking, and the booking is the one that's suffering the most. Booking the matches and getting the right people together and making some magic work happen. So they just throw matches together, basically, and then some people say they don't look like that. But the top guys, they do a couple of things, but majority of the time they're just throwing matches together, and it's not. And plus, you got to remember they only training in one area, so it wasn't like we were. We were going all over the place, and then we would go to a territory, and then we would be good to go because it was different styles and everything. Now it's kind of everybody's kind of almost doing the same thing. Not everybody, but
a little different. I mean, like if there was something similar to ECW, I guess they say Comeback Zone Wrestling is probably like something that's a little bit close to it.
Okay. I ain't
And
heard
then you
about that.
got I mean, AEW is trying to do a little bit of the ECW a little bit when it comes to those hardcore matches. I think you saw from John Moxley's match with Adam Copeland, right?
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
Yeah,
With
for real.
with yeah, that was
That was
crazy.
pretty brutal, man.
John, all right though. He cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Definitely.
lunatic for a reason.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he kind of gives you a little bit of kind of gives you that Pillman kind of crazy mentality a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's entertaining. There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Very
But hey,
entertaining.
man, definitely appreciate your time, bro.
Oh,
I think
you
we
too,
pretty
man.
much covered what we said, bro. Hey, I definitely enjoy the topics and enjoy your story. It's kind of like remarkable how growing up as a kid, this type of wrestling just isn't what it was. You got to enjoy those times before it goes,
Right. 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 And so that's what we do, man. We bring it all the time.
Oh, yeah.